Best-selling author Jacqueline Woodson has written more than 30 books for young readers, including more than a dozen picture books for children. She's also a winner of the National Book Award and a recipient of the MacArthur so-called Genius Grant. Her new book, The Year We Learned to Fly, is about two kids who discover how to use their minds to lift themselves out of challenging situations. Here, read by yours truly, is an excerpt. That was the autumn our rooms felt too big and lonely, with only us in them and the darkness coming on so fast. But while we hugged ourselves against the too quiet of it all, we remembered that we didn't have to be stuck anywhere anymore. My grandmother had learned to fly from the people who came before. They were aunts and uncles and cousins who were brought here on huge ships, their wrists and ankles cuffed in iron. But my grandmother said nobody can ever cuff your beautiful and brilliant mind. So our people learned to fly, she said. They dreamed a thing and made it happen, closed their eyes and flew away home. Lift your arms, my grandmother said, close your eyes, and remember somebody somewhere at some point had to figure out they could fly. And we're happy to say Jacqueline Woodson joins us now. Jacqueline, good morning.
Wait, Jacqueline, before you say anything, what did you think about Tony's read of your words?
Teddy's a big fan.
What did you think?
I loved it. I loved it.
I did too.
I loved the rhythm of it.
Yes.
Well, the rhythm of it is easy to get into because it's a beautiful book. And the concept is also gorgeous, this idea that children can use their imaginations to lift themselves out of very difficult situations. It's incredibly timely right now as so many kids are at home and parents are at home because of the pandemic. But you actually started way before the pandemic. Do I have that right?
Yes, I did. You're right.
What gave you the idea?
I started writing it. Kids have always had to struggle in some way, shape, or form, and that idea of being stuck inside a moment, a place, a physical space, and not having the freedom to leave that was one that I always thought of, as for myself as a kid and as an adult raising children. So, and then the pandemic came along, and it's like, wow, this is so much bigger than what I was thinking of.
Jacqueline, I love that you made reference to the ancestors because I've never seen that in a children's book. What made you think that that would work in this particular context at this particular time? And what you said about imagination, too.
I think that our ancestors are always with us, and it's the fact that we're here, that I'm here talking to you all is about the ancestors having survived something to get us to this moment. And I feel like life is a continuum. Like we move on, we move to the next place, and the way we stay remembered is by people talking about us. And so the ancestors are the people who got me, Jacqueline Woodson, to this moment. And they're important. And they survived. So the fact that they survived wars, they survived enslavement, they survived pogroms, they survived, so much to get us as human beings to 2022 is important to remember.
And Jacqueline, you mentioned enslavement, and you write very descriptively about slavery. Why do you feel like it was important to write about it in that way in a kid's book?
One thing I really loved about that spread is the fact that against talking about a really painful time in our history, which is the truth, and I think it is really important to bring the truth to literature, there's the juxtaposition of Rafael Lopez's beautiful illustrations so we can get the truth and we can get the beauty at the same time. So it's not giving young people just the pain of a moment, because the truth of it is in every painful moment, there was also some kind of healing, some kind of beauty, something that helped us get through that moment. And I think a lot of times when we talk about enslavement, when we talk about history, specifically African-American history, to young people, if we don't know how to do it right, we talk about it from a very painful place. And we have to talk about the survival element of it. And that survival element of it had to be about having a ferocity, having beauty, having hope inside of that pain.
Jacqueline, when you wrote that passage, which is unusually blunt for a kid's book, it's also specific. It's their ancestors, right? The narrator's ancestors. And that's not the story for all people. Did you have an editor or an early reader say, hey, Jacqueline, maybe soften this, broaden it out. We want everyone to feel they're viewed in this book? Or was that not a calculation that came to you?
It is a story for all people. It's our story for everybody, right? So it is, the story of enslavement is not just about Black folks, you know, so, and I think that's important to know, and it is a story. So fortunately, my editor, Nancy Paulson, didn't say, make this softer. Because I've written so much for young people, I know that young people can handle the truth, and they don't look at it as this, you know, terrifying and terrible thing. They look at it as like, whoa, yeah, this did happen. I want to know more about it, and I'm open to hearing it.
The other thing that's interesting that I found is that parents make assumptions about what they think their own children will connect to in a book. And it's not always the same thing that the kid, imaginably, is able to connect with. So the specificity is not an issue. Jacqueline Woodson, we have to go. Nate's holding up the book. It's a great one. Pick it up. It's called The Year We Learned to Fly, available today wherever you buy your books.
Beautiful illustrations, beautiful.
We'll be right back.
Bye, Jacqueline.
Bye, Jacqueline.